Good morning, lunatics. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Matt Luna Fishing Podcast. I am your host, Matt Luna, and it is back to reality. It is back to normal life, back to work today for me. I had a good Thanksgiving, and I hope everyone else did too. I was out of town getting snowed on, and little fun fact for everybody is that I have actually never been in falling snow. I've grown up in San Diego my entire life, and we don't get snow. And even the mountains that are nearby that do get snow occasionally, I've never been there when it was actually actively snowing. So that was a real treat for me to be in falling snow, and it was snowing for pretty much 3 days straight during our Thanksgiving vacation. We were up at Lake Arrowhead, and I did not do any fishing. I've always wanted to try to get out on the lake. I hear the smallmouth fishing at Lake Arrowhead is really good, but it's a private lake, and I don't know anybody that has lake rights in order to go out there and fish it. So it's not as simple as just bring your rods and make a couple casts and see what happens. So it's a little bit more complicated than that. But one of these days, I would love to get out there and fish and try to catch some of those Lake Arrowhead smallmouth. But yeah, that snow was a trip. We ended up having to leave a day early from our vacation. We were at the hotel, and I think the snow was affecting the power. So the power would go out every once in a while, and it wasn't a big deal. The power would go out, and then the generator at the hotel would kick in, and we'd have power, and everything was fine. So literally 15, 20 seconds of no power, and then everything was back up and running. Well, on, what was it? I think it was the Friday after Thanksgiving, we wake up in the morning and there's no power. Not that big a deal at the time. It was the morning. It was still warm everywhere. The heaters hadn't been off for very long. And it was 30 degrees or something like that outside. So everything was fine overall. I mean, it was dark in the hotel, but you'd open up the window or open up the curtains and you'd have the light from outside, and everything was fine. But where you had issues was that there was no TV, there was no internet, there was no heater, there was no restaurant, there was no anything. So Lake Arrowhead is not that big of a place, so if the main hotel out there had no power, then pretty much nothing else was going to have power either. So we kind of were just waiting for it to get turned back on, and we were told that it was supposed to happen around 11:30 or so, and 11:30 came and went, and there was still no power. It started to get colder in our room. The main lobby of the hotel was very cold because people kept going in and out of the hotel, and obviously that cold air from inside was starting to come inside. Thankfully, though, the hotel did provide, some cereal, some sandwiches, some drinks, some stuff like that, so that way people were able to, have some food and some drinks and stuff like that for the breakfast time and also for that lunchtime with the sandwiches and stuff. So that was pretty cool, so you weren't just going hungry. But it was still obviously frustrating not having any power. So we decided that we were going to go play out in the snow one last time before leaving our trip one day early. We were scheduled to drive home on Saturday, but we decided to go out play in the snow one last time on Friday. And after that, went back into the room, warmed up, and because the showers and everything still work, so you're able to take a hot shower, warm up that way. So we got ready to go, left, and the act of actually leaving was a little bit more difficult than I was expecting. So I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when we go on vacation, we want to do nothing. So we didn't leave. And with all the snow and everything that we were getting, leaving just wasn't really an option anyway. We were pretty much snowed in. So my car had been outside in the snow for 3 days straight of snow. So for those of you that live in the snow, you know that accumulates pretty quickly, and you're gonna have to dig your car out. I literally walked out into the parking lot, and I couldn't remember the exact spot that I parked my car. I had an idea of where it was at, so I just went out there hoping that I could figure it out, and I literally could only figure out my car based on the license plate frame cover. There was snow covering the entire car, the entire roof, all the way up the doors, and the only thing that showed was the top rim of the license plate frame cover. Not the license plate itself, but just the top part of the frame cover on the vertical part of the back of the car. So I was able to find the car, and the hotel had people out and about plowing the parking lot and making it so people could drive and get in and out of their parking spots if they needed to. But mine had been sitting still for a while in the parking spot, so there's a bunch of snow on the back side of it. So thankfully one of the guys in the tractor was able to move a lot of that snow, so it alleviated some of the work. But I couldn't get in on one side because I had to like dig myself out on the driver's side, and there just wasn't enough room with the car that was parked next to me. So I had to go out over on the passenger side, dig out all the snow from the passenger side, enough to open up the passenger door. I had to, dig out from behind the rear tires, dig out from behind the front tires, and climb over the center console with my snowy boots and snowy everything in order to turn the car on, in order to try and back out, which at first I wasn't successful. So I had to keep digging out more and more and more, because the car didn't have chains or anything on it yet, because we didn't need to have chains when we drove up there. There was no snow, no nothing. So we were fine, but we needed chains when we left. So I keep having to dig everything out. I'm finally able to back up, and I'm trying to go forward to like pull around to the front of the hotel, and I can't because I'm just spinning on some snow that's in front of me. So I was trying to just back up and then hopefully roll over it, and it wasn't working. And somebody that was waiting for me to be able to move came up and thankfully helped me out and dug out some of that snow in front of my car so I could start going. And then I drove up to the front of the hotel, and then I had to clean off the back of the car in order to get the hatch open in the back, because the back hatch for like the trunk area was frozen shut, so I couldn't open it. So I had to dig out all the ice and dig out the snow and all that. So long story short is, I'm not a snow person. I don't know how you guys do it that live in areas where you get snow like that every year, every week, every whatever. I couldn't do it. I guess I'm spoiled being from Southern California. Like, I wouldn't mind like a small like dusting of snow, but I don't want to do that on a day in, day out basis. That just does not sound fun to me. Not to mention, like, I couldn't go fish. Like, I'm sure people go out and fish in the snow and everything like that, but like, how does that work with your boat? Like, you have snow all over the bow, everything's soaking wet, and that snow starts melting, and then it's slush everywhere. Like, it just doesn't seem like something that you're gonna do very often. So needless to say, we were able to get out of there, get home a day early, which I think ended up being good. It was nice to get back home. We'd been there basically from the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and we were supposed to leave the Saturday after Thanksgiving, but we ended up leaving on Friday. So I think all of us had enough time away. I think we were both glad to be home, back in our own house, in our own bed, own couch, everything. Because I don't know about you, but like, going on vacation's cool, but there's just something nice about getting back home and being in your own space with your own couch and your own blankets and your own bed and all that, and just back to your routine. However, speaking of routine, I am not looking forward to going to work today. I think we're all in that boat pretty much, that, breaks are fun, but going back to work is very difficult, after those longer breaks and those longer holiday times off. But, get back at it, get back into that work routine, and everything will fall into place. But it's definitely hard to make that first trip back. So since we got home early on Saturday, I took advantage of that extra time and was able to record some videos that are going to go up on YouTube. I did a rod review, and I did some tackle making videos, and I did three videos that day. I did the rod making video, I did a plastic pouring video, and I did a swing football head jig video where I made the swing head jig. And those are going to go up on YouTube probably sometime this week. One of those is probably, a couple of them might end up, a couple weeks out, because I'm trying to get some content that can be up ahead of the game. So that way, if for example, I'm going back out of town again this coming weekend, so I won't be able to go fish. I won't be able to record any of that content over the weekend, so I need to get some content ahead in my content game for YouTube, so that way I can keep putting out consistent videos and content for everyone to enjoy. And so look forward to that. I got the new Boss Hog mold. It's the Do It Mold's version of the Brush Hog, and I've already caught a fish on it. I've had the mold for maybe a couple weeks now, and I didn't record it, but I was able to find some time to make some up before a recent fishing trip, and made some casts with it, and was able to catch a fish on one of those baits that I made, in my trip. It was a tough day of fishing that day, but we were still able to manage to catch one on fish. And that's the 4.5 inch Boss Hog. It's very comparable to the Zoom Brush Hog, and it's one of my favorite baits to throw for sure, especially on a Carolina rig. So I'm looking forward to making more baits with that, and coming up you'll see some content with that mold and that swing head jig mold, and hopefully in the future I can show you guys more fish that I catch on both of those new baits that I got from Do It Mold. So I'm looking forward to giving you guys the opportunity to watch that. I got some fishing video. I got a fishing video coming up here soon too, so that'll be posted up on YouTube. I don't know the exact layout yet of how all the content's gonna roll out, but I think I have 4 videos ready to go, so I'll probably put 2 up this week, 2 up next week, and then depending on how the week goes, maybe I'll end up being able to record a couple more for the following week after that. But I won't have any fishing content coming out very soon, just because I haven't been able to. I was out of town for Thanksgiving, going to be out of town again this coming weekend. So hopefully, maybe, what would that put me, like mid-December, I'll be back out on the water. There's a chance I might be able to get out, at some point in between all that, but most likely it's going to be mid-December before I'm back out on the water. Hopefully catching some good quality fish. They should be nice and fat after feeding up on all these shad, but who knows. So I'm really thinking about doing some more live stream stuff. So if you're only a podcast listener, I would recommend maybe checking out my Instagram or my YouTube, because I'm really thinking about doing a little bit more Instagram live or YouTube live streams. I just think it kind of gives you guys an opportunity to get to know me a little bit better, to get to learn my personality a little bit more, because when you edit things, not that you're making it fake, but you kind of edit it in order to flow, whereas when you do something live, there's no editing there, so you kind of just start to see the person and their personality a little bit more. And I just want you guys to feel like you can get to know me, and get to know I just feel like it helps that relationship that you have with whoever you're following and watching their content. I think that just helps everything in the long run. I could do a lot of different live stream content, whether it's talking about different baits, talking about a tournament that I fished, talking about whatever you guys want to talk about. I don't want to make it about me. I want to be able to make it valuable for you. If you're going to spend your time watching something that I put out or listening to a podcast, I want there to be some type of value coming from that, whether it's entertainment, you learn something, whatever. I don't really care what it is, because something that's entertaining for one person might be a learning point for someone else. It just kind of depends on the individual person, but basically I don't want people to feel like they wasted their time. So hopefully it's entertainment, hopefully it's valuable in some type of way for you, so that way you're getting something out of the time you're investing in my content. So some other pretty big news in the fishing world is that Brandon Palaniuk and Gerald Swindle are leaving MLF and going back to the Bassmaster Elite Series in 2020. Both those guys left the Elite Series back in 2019 and fished MLF last year, and now they're going back to the Elite Series. And if you're wondering how they can go straight back to the Elite Series, they have I think it's called the Legends exemption, which gives them the ability to come back because they've won Anglers of the Year in the past. So that gives them the ability to jump back in to the Elite Series without having to go through the Opens. Because I know I just did a podcast, my most recent podcast episode was talking about Scott Martin and how he's got to fish the Opens. But Gerald Swindle and Brandon Palaniuk do not have to do that. They can jump right back into the Elite Series. So those guys are going to be back fishing for 5 big ones and not the MLF format, which I still think guys on the MLF format are still trying to catch the quantity as big of a fish as they can in a quantity that they need, but it's just a different game. It's just a different format, different mindset I think you have to have going into it. I haven't fished any of those events myself, but it's something I think would be pretty fun to do. But I think obviously if you're going for 5 big ones, like, you could have 5 bites in a day and do really well in a tournament, but if you only have 5 bites in an MLF event, you're going to be struggling. You know, I don't have the statistics for Gerald Swindle or Brandon Palaniuk in front of me, but just from like being the casual fan or the casual observer, listening to some other podcasts over the years, their names definitely did not get brought up in conversations of people that did well in tournaments. I think Brandon had a good finish in one of the events. I don't remember exactly, but I know that it wasn't probably what they were expecting in their finishes. I don't know if that had any effect on them making the switch back to bass or not. They both said that just, you know, that's what they know. Bass is what they know. Bass is where their heart is, and bass is where they want to be. I'm sure the lack of success probably played a factor into it, but I think given enough time, those guys both would have made the adjustments they needed to make and been successful at the Bass Pro Tour. Those guys can just straight up catch them. I think their resume speaks for themselves, but obviously they felt it was in their best interest to go back to the Bassmaster Elite Series and fish for those 5 big ones every day. And I'm excited to watch both of those guys in 2020 fish the Bassmaster Elite Series. I've been a fan of Brandon Palaniuk's YouTube content for a while, and I'm not gonna lie, it just didn't feel the same when he was doing the Bass Pro Tour content. I mean, I still watched it; it was still entertaining, but for whatever reason, like it just didn't have the same feel as it did when he was fishing for the 5 with bass. And I don't know if that was because of the fish size or because of the, you know, changes in where he was finishing or what. I don't know exactly what it was, but I did feel like personally there was something different in the 2 different types of content. I mean, the video production value was there, the personality types were there, the fishing was there, but I just don't know what it was. Maybe it's just because I can't relate to it or something. I'm not exactly sure, but I feel like when I can relate, whether it's like a Hunter Shryock video or the older Brandon Palaniuk videos or the Brian Latimer or whoever is putting out the content, some of the Scott Martin content, when they're fishing for 5 and it's a situation where you can also go out and fish your own tournament fishing for 5, I feel like it's just so much more relatable. I feel like it's much more something that you can grasp. You feel like you understand what they're doing a little bit more. Whereas with MLF, it's just not prevalent enough for all of us to go out and fish MLF styles of events. So I have a feeling that's part of it. But I'm excited to see those guys back on the Bassmaster Elite Series. Excited to see their content up on YouTube, or at least Brandon Palaniuk's content up on YouTube. So that's other exciting news in the fishing industry. Well, this kind of was a weird episode, just kind of catching up after the holiday break and talked a little bit of fishing industry news. But I really want to thank you guys for listening into this episode. And if you don't know and YouTube's more your thing and you're just checking the podcast because, you know, I've been promoting it lately and stuff like that, but YouTube's more your thing, I do post these podcasts up on my YouTube channel. It's not an actual video of me recording this podcast. It's more of it's basically just a still shot of the title and my logo for the podcast. And but if that's something that you're into, that you want to just kind of listen on your way to work as it's on YouTube, that's an option for you as well. But I want to remind everybody that I have a promotion going on with Reeler Shield that will expire on December 16th, and that promotion allows you to get free shipping if you purchase a bundle pack of their sunscreen. So you go in there, you go into the website, purchase a bundle pack, and at the checkout use the code SHIP, LUNASHIP, and you will get free shipping on that bundle pack purchase. If you're purchasing individual sticks, you can put 2 in your cart, use the code LUNA at checkout, and one of those sticks will be free. I'm going to be probably doing a giveaway associated with anybody that buys a stick of sunscreen. I'm thinking about putting out the giveaway prize as a pack of my custom jigs that I make. Basically, it'd be a pack of 5 to the winner, and I would just need proof that you purchased your Reeler Shield off their website using those codes. And so I don't know how many people would get in on that, but basically, a minimum $10 purchase is going to give you the opportunity to win, $20 worth of jigs. So be staying tuned for that. That's something I will probably promote a lot on my Instagram, and I'd probably post some stuff on YouTube, and I'll mention it here on the podcast, but I just depends on how much time I have to record will depend on how much I'm able to talk about it on the podcast. But if you follow me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, wherever, make sure to be on the lookout for that, because most likely I will be launching that here in the next couple days. I want to give that at least a couple weeks time before those codes expire, but those codes will expire on the December 16th, so we got 2 weeks actually from today for that deal to be continuing. So jump on that. I know it's November or December and sunscreen's not on your priority, but please go buy at least that 2-pack that you'll get one free, so you can get $20 of sunscreen for half price. So go check it out, ReelerShield.com. Make sure to use those codes and be on the lookout for a giveaway that I will be doing along with your purchases of the Reeler Shield. So again, thanks for checking in. Other discount codes will be in the show notes, so make sure to check those out for your discount codes for GCI Outdoor, Reeler Shield, 6 Sense, OmniaFishing.com. Take advantage of the savings that I can hook you up with. So again, thanks for listening into this podcast, and I will check in with you guys later. Stay tuned for more content coming your way, and thank you again for listening. See ya.